Hello everyone, my name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute. Thanks for joining me for Preston's Ponderings. Well, we're examining the issue of the Millennium, Revelation chapter 20. And we're trying to help give some information as to when the Millennium began or will begin, when it ended or will end. I have suggested to you that there are certain constituent elements that we find in Revelation chapter 20, verses 4 and following, that help us definitively know that the millennium existed in the first century and that it was to be a short period of time, ending immediately before the fall of Jerusalem in AD 70. I've been giving some of those constituent elements. Let me remind you again that my brand new book, greatly revised, greatly expanded. It's even a larger size. It used to be 5.5 by 8. Now it's 6.5 by 9, or 6 by 9, whatever. In that book, I have a very special expanded discussion of the millennium that you're not going to find anywhere else. The book is available on my websites, www.eschatology.org or www.bibleprophecy.com. Now, I'm only giving you as they say, the Reader's Digest version here, the thumbnail sketch of the information that is found in this book. So get a copy of Who is This Babylon, the expanded version, and I'll guarantee you what, you will love this material. We've already seen two constituent elements of the millennium. On the last segment, I noted that the saints are depicted as seated on thrones, ruling and reigning with Christ, and how Paul in Ephesians said that the living saints were depicted as living and reigning with Christ. There's a perfect harmony between the two. Now, there's another parallel right here in the book of Revelation that is absolutely incredible. I want you to notice that in Revelation chapter 6, verses 9 to 11, John said he saw the souls of those who had been beheaded for the word of God. These are the martyrs, the souls of the martyrs, those who had suffered for the cause of the Lord down through the centuries. These are not strictly Christian saints, by the way. Be that as it may, they cried out for vengeance, and they said, "How long, O Lord, holy and true, do you not avenge us on those that are on the earth?" Now notice this. They were given white robes and told to rest for a little while. Notice that little while, until their fellow brethren, who should be slain as they were, should be fulfilled. What follows then, after the fulfilling of the number of the martyrs, is the great and terrible day of the Lord of Revelation 6, 12 and following. Now here's what's really, really important. Notice that they are given robes. The word that is used in the Greek for robes is a word that designates robes of royalty. In other words, these robes are the equivalent to the thrones in Revelation chapter 20. Now notice the perfect correspondence. Revelation chapter 6, those who have been martyred for the word of God. Revelation chapter 20, the souls that have been beheaded for the word of God. Revelation chapter 6, they are given white robes of royalty. They are made kings. Oh, by the way, John said, He, that is God, has made us to be a kingdom, or made us kings and priests. You see the correlation with receiving royal robes? Okay, so in Revelation chapter 6, they are given royal robes. Revelation chapter 20, they're seated on thrones. Now here's something very critical. In Revelation chapter 20, the martyrs are given the robes. They rule and they reign with Christ, quote, for 1,000 years. Well, then what? Well, at the end of the 1,000 years, you have the coming of the Lord, the judgment on those outside the city that are attempting to destroy them. Basically, what you have here, well, in fact, I know what we have. We have the resurrection of, quote, the rest of the dead. Here's the fulfilling of the martyrs of God promised in Revelation chapter 6. But notice this. Revelation chapter 20, once again, they're seated on thrones. They rule and reign with Christ. They rule and reign for 1,000 years. And somebody says, oh, that's got to be a tremendously long period of time. Well, we've already pointed out in our first section, 1,000 years is a very highly symbolic number, referring to quality, not quantity. But here's the correlation. Revelation chapter 20, seated on thrones, they rule and reign with Christ for 1,000 years, waiting for the consummation. Revelation chapter 6, martyrs, given robes of royalty, and they have to wait. How long do they have to wait? Well, the same period of time as those in Revelation chapter 20, but how long is that? Well, in chapter 6, they are told to rest for a little while. In other words, the millennium is a little while. The little while is the millennium. And folks, I'm sorry, you cannot make 1,000 years a little while. It just doesn't work. We thus have in the constituent elements of Revelation chapter 20 the idea of the martyrs being given royal robes, reigning with Christ, awaiting the consummation of the number of the martyrs, waiting for vindication. Now here's a kicker. When did Jesus say that all of the blood of all of the righteous would be avenged? In Matthew chapter 23, Jesus said all of the blood of all of the righteous shed on the earth, all the way from righteous Abel unto Zacharias son of Barachias, whom you slew between the altar, would be avenged in his generation. This defines the period of Revelation chapter 6, the little while. It defines the millennial period. It would consummate in Jesus' generation. The millennium, the end of the millennium, is the time in which the martyrs would be vindicated at the day of the Lord. Revelation 6, 12 and following. But all the martyrs would be avenged in Jesus' generation. Therefore, the end of the millennium was going to be in Jesus' generation. Hey, we've got even more. Thanks for joining me for Preston's Ponderings. We'll see you on the flip side.